everybody, to another episode of Popcorn and Possibilities. I wasn't going to go as loud as I usually do because we got a special guest today. I didn't want to blow out her eardrums. But I am Brian, Steph, and we got a special guest, Jeanne, with us today. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Doing great.
Very good over here.
All right, good. So, listen, we've been giving you the movie reviews. We're still going to continue to do it. But the other part of our podcast, the reason why it's the possibilities, is because we wanted to interview the everyday people and just go through their journey of life and if they lived their dream or if they didn't live their dream, what happened. Because it's always been an interesting topic to me. I can say for me, I still struggle at giving it up, still trying to pursue it. So I'm always intrigued to see what other people's stories are and where they ended up. Steph, anything to add?
I think you're spot on. I think for the past couple episodes, it's been all popcorn, and now we explore the possibilities. And, many of us grew up thinking our lives and our careers and our paths would go one way, and they maybe started to and diverged, or maybe they just went a completely different way, a road less traveled, if you will. But sometimes that's for the best, and it's always fascinating to me to see where is it that you wanted to be, where did you start, and ultimately where did your journey bring you? Because that is life. So I'm very excited to have Jeannie here with us today, to kind of give us her story and walk us through her journey.
Yeah,
Thank you.
as you have recently retired, which I find interesting enough just because you've completed the 9 to 5. I don't know, hellhole. I don't know what you want to say,
The
but
grind. The grind.
yeah,
You
the
could call it the
grind.
grind. The
So
grind is
you
good.
have finished it up and you're on to new journeys. So first of all, how do you feel? Do you feel like a weight is lifted?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I feel like when I didn't spend the past 10 years thinking about retirement, or even the past 5 years, quite frankly. I think it wasn't really until late last year, early this year that I started to say, I think I want to use, I've only got so much energy in me.
Mm,
And I started to feel a little stingy about where do I want to put that energy? Because the job that I did, I thoroughly enjoyed, but it took a lot out of me. And, then I'd come home and I really kind of felt like the reservoir was empty for a lot of the things that are like, really the things that resonate with me, like with my soul, if you will, because I was just so exhausted from working. And then, yeah, you reach a point where you get, financially and demographically, I'm like, the word, I fit the word retirement from an age perspective and from okay, I've got this much, to get me ready for hopefully the next 30 years of my life. And once I made the decision to retire, I actually, every day I went to work, instead of feeling like torn or conflicted, I actually felt calmer. I genuinely felt calmer because, though, I mean, it was because I think the timing was right. And I
mhm.
also think it's because I'm pretty lucky to have really been able to do a lot of things in my career. Um, the things directly related to the job that I did, but I did a lot of things outside of that connected me to people. And I feel like I really just have a lot of notches in my belt that I'm proud of. So wasn't that I was just walking away from a job, but I really feel like I was walking away from a lot of good things that I did that mattered to people, in addition to prepping people to do a good job in their work. So it was like a
Yeah,
combination of things.
yeah. I imagine it's like the elevation of giving a 2 week notice, but it's just like knowing it's for good.
Yeah, no, it was, and it was a kind of an awkward. I gave 3 months notice
Oh wow.
because I wanted, I anticipated my spot would have to be filled, and I wanted to give ample time for my position to be posted, for interviews to be conducted, and then hopefully the vision was for me to mentor someone to then be able to like step away. I did it with like the conscience, if you will, to do it the right
Yeah.
way. So regardless of whether those other things happened the way my timeline allowed them to happen, I had a crystal clear conscience that I wasn't, stepping away from something and leaving this big hole that I couldn't have helped fill.
Now, do you think, like, now that you have retired, do you think you will get the itch to have a part-time job at all, or you're kind of
The
you're
way
done?
it's going now, so
Yeah.
first of all, my last day in office was June 27th, so it's
Mhm.
like summer. So when I
Nice.
woke up on June 27th, the 29th, the Monday, like the birds were chirping, like I opened the windows, the sun was shining. It sounds like I'm writing a song, but it was really like that kind of a day. We have a town pool, the pool was open. And I just felt like like a kid feels summer vacation, but I'm like a big kid feeling like summer vacation and then some, which was pretty spectacular, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
I definitely
Yes.
miss the summer vacations.
Oh,
It's
summer
We
like
vacation stuff
actually
is great.
we were
Yeah,
just talking about that recently. Like, I think the burnout from work feels exceptionally tremendous in the summer because we grew up being duped into thinking like, "Oh, summer break is a thing." And then you enter the working world and it is so far from being a thing. Um,
very
but I
much.
have to tell you, you just struck so many chords with me. I think, we take for granted that of all of the things that work requires of you, your time, your skill, your attention, it's your energy. And if you're somebody who is passionate about things outside of just what you do, your reservoir does often end up empty. And I think that's such a critical thing that you said about usually that's when, be it regarding retirement, be it regarding taking a step back in a role or rethinking a company or priorities or whatever. I know in my life, that's when I felt it too. When it's like, I can't do anything that means something to me. I can only do work and what's required of me. Um, so that's such an important thing you said, I think. And you said it so well.
Thank you. And I felt like, and it sounds a little prison-like, but I felt like I'd done my time. I really actually felt like that. I felt like I did what I did. I was all in. I gave it a tremendous amount of effort. I feel like I was successful, and I feel like, people, when they reflect on me and anybody that, I've been in contact with who I trained and helped learn to do their job better, I got such tremendous, sincere well wishes from people, that it was nice to walk away on those terms. Like, not there was nothing hostile, or I wasn't resentful. Like, I didn't have a negative bone, in my body about it. I was ready to move on, and I knew it. And I was ready to move on because internally I was, and I was ready to move on because I said to one of my coworkers, I don't really feel like I'm walking away from something so much as I'm walking towards something else.
Yeah.
And that's really how I feel. I genuinely feel that way every day. But I have to tell you this, as a kind of a safety net, when I gave my notice, which was March 28th, not that I know it, but I really knew the day that I called my superior and let them know.
It's like
When
wedding
you
date, retirement date.
seriously, it was a countdown. Um, I thought to myself, what if I wake up in March? I thought to myself, what if I wake up in June, okay, and the sun is shining and the birds are chirping, and like I don't know what to do with myself. And I didn't want to be in that position where I didn't want to feel like there was a void.
Mhm.
And to kind of like make sure that that didn't happen. What I did was, so you two get up and go to work every day
Yeah.
still, or I don't know, do you work from home?
I
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, 100% work from home. Well, even
Mhm.
that, but still, there's a conflict there because you're looking around at things you maybe would rather do, and then you have to do the things that you must do. I always
Yeah, when my
felt
bed's
like,
right next to me, it's pretty tough, so
okay, oh, okay. I always seriously, I always
Mhm.
felt like whenever I had to go in the office, there was never like I would look around, I'd be like, if I could stay home, I would, and I would like be pulling out of the driveway, and I'd be making like a mental list of all things I would be doing, and not necessarily big things. It could have been like I'm going to reline the kitchen cabinets, and I'm not even kidding, but like things that I could never do when I'm working full time because you barely have the strength to do like you make a meal and do your laundry.
Right.
You're not going to do
Right.
something mundane, which I like some of those mundane tasks. So what I did from the day that I gave my notices, I had this little notebook And every day when I wake up and I'd have to go in the office, when I would have that little like spark in my head, if I could stay home, I would, fill in the blank, and I would write those things down, and I dated it. So that by
Mm,
the time June 27th came, I actually had this little book that had all these things that I didn't, when you're in the I figured I'd wake up that Monday and I'd forget them all. And I'd be like, what am I going to do now? And then I'd just go to the book and I'd be like, well, back in March, I said to myself, if I could stay home, I'm going to, cultivate an herb garden and grow herbs for the first time. And then lo and behold, now I can do that. And now
good.
I'm a list person, and it's just, I love the idea that I could go back to that and be like, all right, that was done.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
super satisfying, being able to
yeah.
check something off a list.
Oh,
I
love
love
that.
that feeling too.
Love that feeling. Even at this point, like I have a planner, like a daily planner. I still wake up, have coffee, and look in the planner. I look to say, okay, what day of the week is it? What's on the calendar for, our personal lives, you know, parties, things, obligations. I still live with a planner because it just tethers me to something. I still like structure, even though my time
Right.
is mine. I do. I can't let go of that. I can't surrender that. I won't surrender that. I refuse to surrender it.
No, I do think it's good. I mean, this year I had started like a 2025 list of goals I wanted to accomplishment, and not like necessarily like become a millionaire. It was just like read a book a month, which
Hmm.
I've been doing, and it's starting this podcast, which we're doing. And so it's just little things like try sushi, try going to a new baseball stadium. So I've been trying to do little checks, and I do find like it helps because when you have those days where you're not doing anything or you're just working 5 days and all you feel like is like you wake up, go to work, and go home, that it's like, no, I actually went and I completed something that I've wanted to this year. So,
For sure, for sure. Well, it's hard too, Brian and
hmm,
Steph, when I think in my professional life,
hmm,
the well never ran dry. So no matter how much you did, that
hmm,
you did, and you were tired from doing, there really is not a moment where you could step back and say, okay, it's empty. I've done all that for today.
yeah,
And I,
mm.
I think sometimes keeping that list is where you can get satisfaction over, look what I did, even though there's still like a mountain. I did this, I did these 20 things. So I don't
Right.
feel like it was a wasted day. That's how you could
Mm.
see it, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been attempting your things that you've written down so far, or
Yes.
you're, yes,
Yes.
okay,
I've
okay.
attempted I've attempted them, done them, and I'm happy to say that I've actually been able to fill my day with so many things that I still have things on that list, because some of the things too, because I retired at the height of the beautiful season, some of them in my opinion are indoor things, and
Okay.
I feel like, when I'm outside, it changes my whole personality when I get the chance to be outside. So I try to focus on things that are going to give me connection to nature. And then, like now that it's getting a little cooler, I know that, we'll be turning the clocks back, fall back, yeah, in
Mm,
another 2 or 3 weeks. Then I'll kind of go to the indoor things, um, and take care of those. So it's just that feeling, purposefulness. I don't know why. I think sometimes people think that the ultimate nirvana is to have like nothing to do. And I don't relax well by doing nothing, which
okay.
maybe that's a problem, but I don't apologize for it. I do. I relax better. I'm not saying I have to do something that's, is extremely difficult, but I actually can kind of unwind even by doing something simple like the dishes. Like it's sort of like I start to, collect my thoughts. I do, and it's just better. Sitting
Mm.
still doesn't do well for me.
Got it. Got it. Steph, did you have something?
No, I just relate so heavily to that. I am not even if I go like on a vacation, I am not somebody who can go sit on a beach for 5 days straight.
Hmm.
I like being away, but I need to have activities or something to keep me active or thinking or engaging my brain or my body in some way. That's how I best relax too. So when you were saying that, I'm like, "Oh yes. I
Yeah,
know that feeling. I
no.
relate to that feeling."
Sometimes my family would be like, "Mom, sit down, or you need to relax, or come over here," and I will, but it's just it's the way I'm wired, so it's hard to unwire that just because you suddenly have more
Mm.
time, honestly.
All right, so I'm gonna take a little rewind question here. So obviously, we all met in the same workplace to kind of give everybody a little backstory. Uh, I'm gonna go on a hunch and say that this was not your dream job.
No,
So I'm
that's a good
curious,
hunch.
as young Jeannie, what was the original dream? What were you imagining that you want, or what did you want as a youngin?
And it's funny, and you know, I have so I'm gonna show you something. Okay, so I'm
Oh,
holding up.
I have one of those.
Yeah, do you have one of these? All right, so
Yeah,
this is
for middle
the
school, I
I don't
believe.
know what we call it, like an autograph book? I guess it's called an autograph book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so right, so I mean, I've been cleaning out closets, and I happened to stumble upon this, and when I was thinking about our time together, I thought I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up, but there's like a
Right.
spot in here where you write what you want to be when you grow up. So it connected. So when I in 1972, when I was 12, I
Mhm.
wanted to be an art teacher.
Okay.
And yeah, and so and I know why I wanted to be an art teacher because number one, I always loved creative things, all kinds of creative things. Like it could be drawing, it could be painting. I do things with wood. I do all kinds of things, and I was like that. And then I like teaching appealed to me. I always got a sense of satisfaction from helping somebody be better at whatever they were doing. And so, young Jeannie wanted to be an art teacher. That was you know, that was what the essay would have been about, I guess, if I had to write the essay at the age of 12.
Yeah. Now, did you, like, have a specific style of art that you like to do, or
I think pen and ink like was my main, material, if you will.
Okay, yeah.
But I always liked and I still enjoy like advertising art. I just kind of appreciated that because I always loved the medium as the message. I loved what art can do in advertising.
Right.
I loved the effectiveness of it. I appreciated it. And so I think that's what I wanted to do. And then I could tell you, like, I get to an interval when then I'm college age.
Mhm.
And I feel in my heart, I know I had this, that it didn't feel practical enough art, like to go to college for. Like it was
Okay, I
too
was gonna say,
fluffy.
yeah, I feel like that's the one the parents
It's
are
a,
always like, "Art? Are you sure
yeah,
about
Yeah.
but that was,
that?"
yeah, yeah. So what I did was, so I went to school for business, which to me
Okay,
felt like a better investment
okay.
for the tuition, if you will. And I got
Mhm,
a 2-year degree in business. And that's what I had so, then I get married, and then we have 3 children. Then,
mhm,
you dedicate a bunch of years to the kids. And then when I wound up re-entering like the corporate job market, enter the company that brought us all together. And that's kind of when I reached that plateau. Now, if I may say something, because I do feel like this is kind of important to me
yeah,
or to this.
okay.
Um, Before re-entering the corporate world,
Mhm,
I spent like 10 years teaching in a nursery school.
okay.
I did that for a couple of reasons. It was convenient with small children.
Mhm,
I had the kids got free tuition, and it was just
mhm.
when they were off, I was off. It made life simple when they were little.
Yeah,
And the funny, ironic thing about it is, and I really wholeheartedly feel this way, there were many things that I learned from that experience of spending time with 3, 4, and 5-year-olds
mhm,
that translated very well into when I got, and I know it makes you laugh, but into the corporate world of,
mhm,
you know, acting professionally. Like there's no more, I don't know, delicate subject, if you will, than giving feedback to a parent on
mhm.
their child in an academic setting. Like it's you're walking on eggshells sometimes if you've got to tell them something you
Something's
see
wrong.
that may
Yeah.
like, put a little blemish
Right.
on the picture.
Right.
And I got very good at giving feedback that was well received, where maybe like a child needed to be evaluated because maybe it seemed like they were going to need services, or maybe, what they were doing didn't exactly measure up to the rate that the rest of the class, or maybe they were like a superstar, and I don't know. And that kind of developing like that kind of ability to talk to people, parents, about their children, was such a great springboard for when I entered the corporate world. I had a position where I had to give feedback to people on a
Mm.
regular basis on their performance. And I honestly it was very easy for me to be able to say something in a way that didn't shut people down, that made them respect what I was telling them, that made them maybe take action on it or see, an opportunity for improvement. And it really like was such a great segue, honestly. It really did prepare. It did. It was like one of the best. I had so many good tools in my toolbox
Mm.
because
It's
of
so
where I had
funny.
been, that I was able to just take out and be like, all right, this is kind of like that, except, the person is,
How do I
25
maneuver
that
through
I'm
this?
telling this
Yeah,
to instead of
yeah.
5, but it's, if I do it this way, they're going to listen to me. I was successful at it. And I think that was a
Okay.
big part of why I was good at it.
It's really funny. I also come from a teaching background. I went to school to teach. Never outside of my student teaching through college got into a classroom because I happened to pick a specialty that was a little more niche, we'll say. But my parents like to joke, all that money on tuition, and where is that degree now? I use it every day because I am also in a position where I am consistently giving feedback on performance or having to present ideas or thoughts in a group setting where maybe that is not the majority opinion. And like
Hmm.
the soft skills and the communication skills that you gather from working with young people or working with parents and learning to kind of express things in a diplomatic but assertive way. I feel like I use all of the tools in my toolbox, Jeannie, every day as well. So it's so funny you say that because I think it is so true.
The other thing too, and you can relate to this stuff, is when you teach, you got to be prepared. You really, really, and chances are something's going to fall on the floor anyway. But you have
Yeah,
to come in with an agenda, because it just makes you internally feel calmer, and then you can realign your focus if you get kind of scattered. And I think regardless, like you said, of the niche that you picked, you started to groom yourself to be like, okay, what's the most important thing, second most important thing, what can fall on the floor, do I have some backup things, then if it all goes to bust, you do something else. And I think that the again, teaching in the corporate world, if you're in a position that touches a lot of people, or maybe has public speaking attached to it, or feedback attached to it, or presentations attached to it, teaching, it sets you up. It really
I
does.
agree. I agree.
Mhm.
Now, do you think, like, if you didn't have any children, you still would have ended up doing that job, or no?
I don't know if I would have, but I'm glad and grateful that my path went the way it did, because I think I did that job out of convenience, quite frankly. It was
Right.
just somebody, the director had, two of our older children had gone there. They needed a teacher. I had no teaching credentials, but I was like, it's a little extra money. I don't have to worry about the kids being off on all these different holidays. Who's going to watch them? And
Right.
and so I accepted it because it was convenient.
Mm.
And then once I began doing it, I realized that this for me personally, this is quite fulfilling, and it kind of worked out. And I used to do even like some volunteer work in the summer. I remember like
Okay.
through the church, which was comparable. They would do like these camps. And again, it was the same kind of thing where there was a theme for the week, and then you had there was things you had to teach the kids, and there was schedules and music. There was all these, moving parts to the day. And as it turned out, nursery school was like that, and my corporate position was very much like that. It was just, it might have been a different recipe, but like the base, the things you put into the recipe, it was a little, it was still the same major components. It just different because the audience was different.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like using your what is it? Celery, onion, garlic, carrot, like your mirepoix and making like a soup or a sauce. The base stays the same. You can do 1,000
Correct.
recipes with it, but the
There it
base is
is.
the same.
The base is this. You just spin it to fit the moment or to fit the season, like whatever's in season, and you just say, okay, I'm going to bring that in. So it worked out. I mean, I think, like I said, sometimes you just do things because it's, I don't know, you get caught in the current and it feels like the right thing to do. But then, if you listen to yourself, you're like, this, no, this feels right. This feels good. This feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Or you just start to think about the people that you're working with, and I'm making a difference here. This is a good thing. And then it kind of reflects back towards you, which is really cool.
And then, so from that job, you left, I'm assuming, for more money type of thing, or was it
Oh
just
yeah.
like you wanted a change? Okay.
Yeah. Well, at that point, like by the time our youngest daughter got into middle school, the two older children were in high school.
Okay.
At that point, they're all off in directions doing their things and getting ready to go to college. And, yeah, for financial reasons, it made sense. And my days needed more in them. So, I knocked on a corporate door and I got hired into an entry level position, which was really good because it gave me
Right.
like a really firm foundation. It was an industry that again, none of us really, and that's
Love.
not in the book.
Yeah.
That wasn't in my book. But I was impressed at the time that I was hired with the amount of investment that the company put into its new hires and how much the company really, I mean, they paid me to teach me, which, I just accepted it. But as my tenure with the company would grow, I actually came to respect the company for that because I thought, that tells you how much they value the new people that they're bringing in, paying them a full-time salary, giving them health insurance, and they're not even really doing anything. There's no widget happening yet.
Mhm.
But that was the reputation of the company at that time. Like it was known for investing, its people truly were its greatest asset, and it acted like that. And it was a time where we relied far less heavily than we do now on the technological component of teaching. Now
Yeah.
that's a huge component, even, again, in the corporate world that I left, where, a physical biological teacher, has a salary and,
Mm,
has to pay,
yeah.
and you have to, insure. There's all these things to go with me as a person
Yeah.
that the company doesn't have to pay for when it's done
With
through
AI or
the AI.
whatever.
It's quite,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's in a nutshell. Yeah. So I
Mhm.
feel like in some ways I stepped away at a good time for me personally as well. I mean, I felt secure in my position, but I could see the trend was kind of coming where the human aspect of it was, as little by little, was shrinking because the AI aspect of it was growing.
So, like,
I
as
just
you're
started
okay, sorry.
Sorry, Bri. I was
Yeah,
just
no,
gonna
no, go
say
ahead.
I started at a new company relatively recently. Um, and granted, like I wasn't coming in off the street with no knowledge of the industry I was going into,
You
but
were savvy.
it
Yeah.
yeah, but exactly to your point, like onboarding has gone from, 4 weeks in a classroom with a trainer, kind of learning systems, processes, all of these things. I maybe got 2 hours of that and everything else was courses and self-taught and self-led. So it really has been fascinating to see how that has transformed over the years because it looks nothing like it did when I got hired into the industry 12, 13 years ago at this point. It's
Mhm.
it's crazy.
It is. It is.
Especially,
It's
like,
a
with
shift.
how much is hands for me personally, I learned so much better hands-on. So if you're just,
Me
like,
too.
shoving courses in my face, like, yeah, I might pass it, but I'm not retaining really anything that you're giving me here.
Right. Right.
No, correct.
Uh,
I could take the quiz and I could watch the
Right.
cartoon and I could pick I could pick the right answer from a multiple choice selection. But then the phone will ring and I have to
Right.
talk maybe to a person and I'm not sure
Right.
how I'm going to navigate that.
Right.
There's no AI well, not yet. Maybe I shouldn't
Not
say
yet,
that.
maybe
Well,
soon.
actually there is. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
coming. It's coming. Yeah.
So as you're doing the corporate job, did you ever have a moment where you're like, I wish I still could have tried to give art teaching a try, or were you like happy with being? I mean, you were as a trainer, you kind of got that fulfilling feelings.
I think maybe, but then I also will say, and I think this is something that you wanted to talk about,
Mhm.
felt like I'm pretty adaptable.
Right.
I When I became a trainer, because I was with the company for a little over for 21 years. 10 of them I was in like different types of positions, and halfway through my career I became a trainer. And when I became the trainer, that's when I really, if insurance was getting old, not that it was, but getting a little bit old, when I got to the plateau of trainer, it was more money,
Mhm.
and more potential for growth, like salary wise, which I was the company was very, very good to me. So I was always motivated because it was always compensating me. I was always giving 100%. And it was really for a good portion of my career. For the second half of my career, I feel like I was really taken care of, which is motivating. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I was able to, the thing about art is that it's creative. And the thing about teaching, in with I don't care what topic it is. I think, well, you to remember, I remember teachers
Hmm.
that were so made such a big impression on me, both in like high school and then even in college, where you almost wanted to change your career to be what they were,
Yeah.
because there was such passion and there was such intelligence. Like I remember, sitting through a few classes, and they made the subject be the most interesting thing imaginable. And when
Mhm.
I became a trainer, I feel like it opened up doors for me creatively to satisfy, like, the to start, a spark, an idea. What if we try this? What if we do that?
Mhm.
And then at that time
Yeah.
in corporate America, there were other, I want to try to find the right, like, morale
Boosters.
building, team building things that I was able to be a part of, that were
Mhm.
really great opportunities for me to, like, spread my creative wings, like, you know, being on committees and competitions. And it sounds like, when I say it now, it kind of sounds cheesy, but you
No.
all know that the things that
Yeah.
happened were significant, morale boosting, stress relieving, fun 15 minutes that people would go back to work like smiling and feeling a little freer, and feeling like, oh, that was really fun. Like, today, I thought today wasn't going to be that great, but that was really fun, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so it just kept the momentum. I feel like it kept my momentum going.
Yeah, fun fact, Steph. We did Coolio, but in insurance insurance terminology for
Uh-huh.
Gangster's
We did.
Paradise.
Yes.
I wrote insurance lyrics to Feel It Still by Portugal the Man.
Okay, there you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Mhm.
Yep.
Um
Gangster's Paradise. Brian, I didn't even know that song. I had to listen to it.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, because the people voted, and that's what they voted for, that song. And I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I could do this. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute, what is this? But we did it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so funny that teachers are and trainers and people in those types of positions are in such a unique spot, because
Mhm.
not only are you tasked with teaching material and leading to a successful outcome, like people understand a job function or a subject matter or whatever the case may
Hmm.
be, but you have that ability to inspire, right? And like you said, to make the topics the most interesting thing and really develop your learning experience into what you want it to be. And I have to say, all our listeners out there, if you don't like sentimental stuff, you can skip forward a couple seconds. I had the absolute joy and pleasure of learning from you and watching you teach people. And I got to tell you something, Jeannie. Insurance was the most interesting thing when you were speaking
Yeah.
about it.
$100.
You had a way of just capturing and captivating your audience. So, for whatever it's worth, it is so clear that somewhere in your dream was teaching people, because you are so damn good at it.
Thank you.
unfathomable.
Thank you.
And I know I am better for having met you and learned from you throughout my career. And now I get the pleasure of just knowing you as a
Mm.
person. And
This is
you've
cool.
changed,
Mm.
you've made that impact. If that meant a lot to you, you've done it. You've accomplished it for sure.
I appreciate that. That's very
Yeah.
generous. Thank you. I did. I remember standing in front of, I remember going home tired, but feeling like they got it. And from as a trainers or teachers, it just, it was like, it was a good tired. You could leave work and there's a bad tired.
Yeah.
And there's a good tired. And I feel like as a trainer for the majority of my career, when I would walk to the car, and I'd be like, oh gosh, but it was like we did it. They got it. I feel like the click, the light bulb went on. They'll be able to critically think, and and that's the hard thing I think now, because training has diminished so. I feel like I want you to approve positive, so I guess this is a good thing. I was trying to teach a subject, but I was also trying to groom you to be critical thinkers. Like take a scenario, and if it doesn't match that exactly, but it's a little bit different, what are you going to do with it? Because
Right.
you've got stuff, you know enough, and now you're gonna, your decision may be right, it may be wrong, but like you got to make a decision, and you got to keep moving. And that's probably. I mean, I used to say this. Hey, I loved getting a raise, and I
Mhm.
did get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I did love getting raises, but
Right.
watching people that I worked with, watch them be successful in the job that I helped them to learn the content, then watching them move on in their careers and make strides and make moves, and then, touch, it exponentially, it just keeps going. It spawns into them now making an impact on people. And then all of a sudden you meet common people and you say, oh, I know. And then it just
Mhm.
keeps going. And it's hard to, um, it's not a bigger paycheck, but there's a big plus to go with that type
Yeah.
of feedback, definitely.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And I've always loved like how positive you were. Like, and it was as early as like 8 a.m. Like I can't recall a day where you were like, get away from me. It's like you always had this like chipper attitude, and it did make boring subjects be really interesting to learn. Um, what made you like stick it out that long and not be like, maybe I could get more money somewhere else? Was it the fact that the company was more like people oriented and wanting to grow?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I
Okay.
feel like what happened was, there were some like team building, morale building things. Like I was a trainer, but I had my hand in several other things, that were extracurricular things, kind of, that were
Mhm.
fun, creative, and even philanthropic. I used to, um, let's see, 2011. So I'm celebrating like 14th year as a breast cancer survivor. And that happened to me when I was in the corporate setting. And,
Yeah.
that's a 2x4 on the back of your head. And the support, not even so much with words, but like people looking at you with knowing nods, because, I went to work while I was having chemo and I had a wig on, and I knew that people knew, but I was kind of private about it. But it was the kind of thing where you would pass people and I just would feel like compassion from them. And it was, it's hard to describe like how much in an experience like that where you feel like you're alone,
Mhm.
like, look at that, these people are, I'm getting energy from these people, and it's a good thing. And so I put a team together, and we would do the Making Strides walk, and we would raise money, and again, and then it got to a point where the calendar year had work, but it would have seasons where these other things would come in. There
Mhm.
were, some of them are the team building, morale building things. They would be something maybe to go with the Super Bowl Sunday, and then there'd be something to go with the block party, and then there'd be something to go with the holidays, and then in October was Making Strides, and it was
Mhm.
like the year just kept buzzing by, like with so many things, um, and you just kept going. Like I feel like I just kept going. In addition to training, and it was great because I would network with people when I trained people, and then when some of these events came up, people were pretty good. They were loyal to me. Like they would, you know, like they would always be like willing to, sing a song or buy a shirt or take the walk, go to Jones Beach and do the walk with me or, stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it really had a
Yeah.
family, like supportive vibe to it that even if I could have gotten more money somewhere else, that's where you draw the line, like at that point.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
where it became, on some level, it became a little personal. I mean, it was
Yeah.
very professional, but there was like a little blending there for me because it did have a very much, and I think you both have felt this at different intervals in the past, a family
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Um, and that's in it's irreplaceable. Like I think, and I don't think it's like exclusive to the industry that we are in or that we shared. I just think in some ways, we've got three children. They are all millennials. They go from 33 to 38.
Mhm.
How could it, let's just say, in my lifetime, have had probably like five jobs. I'm not even sure. I might have to go
Uh-huh.
four. Okay.
Right.
I would go to a place and I would stay in a place for a decade or more.
Mhm.
My last job was the biggest, 21 years.
Mhm.
Our children, like, it doesn't work that way anymore. And,
I know it.
it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it
That's
does,
the sad part.
it does. I mean, I think they wish it would. And I
Yeah.
don't think that they really love the hop that much, but it's a new day. And I think to survive and
Mhm.
to keep your wits about you and to keep yourself marketable,
Yeah.
I think there's a certain amount of movement in 2025 that's accepted and expected,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
par for the course. It isn't even unusual, at this point.
Yeah. I could say, like, for me, I think that's always the struggle is, like, the place we came from, I thought that was it. Like, I thought that was where I was going to be, and, when me growing up, that's what was, like, ingrained in my head was, like, you're loyal, you be a loyal person, you're loyal to the company and all this stuff,
So
and
a work
it
ethic.
yeah,
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
Right.
just it's not that way because it's like you are here and then either you're scared of losing the position or you find out place B has more money and so like you got to do what's best for you instead of being for the
You
company.
and your situation, you and your whole
Mm.
dynamic,
Mhm.
because, as a father, you make
Yeah.
decisions that just aren't about Brian. They're about a whole little, conglomerate of
Right.
choice, if you will. Yeah.
Right.
Sure. I get it.
Well, it's also crazy, I couldn't agree with you more, Jeannie, when we talk about where we came from. When I first started there, and Brian, you nailed it. I'm like, oh, I'm retiring here. And there was that feeling of an investment in people and your employees were your number one asset and you were going to value and pour into that cup. That is very hard to come by nowadays. Like, I was with our prior company almost 12 years and I went into the office one day and I found myself no longer working there. With it hit me like a freight train. Like
Hmm.
no idea that that was going to be how that day went. So prior me would never think of job hunting when I was currently employed somewhere because I was very of the corporate loyalty mentality. Like this company, they paid to train me. They are, they're cutting my paychecks. I owe them a duty.
Steph, it
Now
almost
it's
felt like a
more
betrayal to
it did.
leave.
It
Yes.
did.
No, I know. I remember that feeling like you really felt indebted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And now it's more exactly what you just said. It's like you have to do what's right for you and your situation. And if that means keeping your open to work banner on LinkedIn, even after you've gone somewhere else, that's what it is today. It's definitely more prevalent and like you said, more accepted. Now, I feel like you're much less likely to get questions about how many jobs have you had in the past 5 years on an interview question because it's pretty common to hop
Yeah.
around these days.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just, and if anything, I think I think it's a tough dance, though. I don't envy
No.
someone, who, for a variety of reasons, like we talk about AI, and just to even
Right.
get to the point where you're in the yes pile. The filters that are in place before you and the yes pile is not always the yeser people.
Right.
It's just
Right.
who made it to the pile, and that's tough. That's tough. I mean, I think it depends. Like, I know, having worked with both of you, um, there was a passion in both of you for the work you did beyond just, what was average. I feel like you both are always thinking in a bigger picture way. Okay, this is the way we do it. It's been successful. But what about, like, inside you're saying, but what about this? Or if we do that? Or how can we, but this could be done that way. And then look, and I think both of you were always like had your gears spinning in that way. I don't know if the current climate
Cares for
cultivates
that.
that so much
Yeah.
anymore. I'm not sure. I don't know, because I'm not in it, but I feel like part of that passion that you displayed um, came from the sense of loyalty, and came from an investment on your part that made you feel like you needed to give a return back
Right.
to the company.
What's the
And
fastest way to make coffee? Wasn't that the training video?
seriously, remember that? Oh my gosh, all of those things. I totally know what you're talking about. Yes. And I'm like, at first I'm like, is this real? And then afterwards it groomed me to think about, how can I eliminate steps? What are
Mhm.
the unnecessary steps in my day? Like, how can I be more efficient? Then all of a sudden you started to look at even your personal life
Everything.
differently.
Yeah.
But it was effective.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
that was the climate we were in. Like, self-development was big.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Huge, huge. Really.
One of the other things I admired about you was when I was in your class and you went back to school. Courageous. I thought it was awesome to see. I was like,
I'm
wow.
saying that because I took algebra like in I forgot 2019, and I thought I was going to have a mental breakdown, but I got through it.
Mhm.
Um, yes, and I'm going to say again, like, kudos to the company that I worked for at that time. Really treated its employees like they were its biggest asset. They paid for me to get a bachelor degree,
Mhm.
and it was kind of ironic slash interesting because my final semester was spring of 2020, when the whole world changed forever.
Wow.
And yes,
That's wild.
so I wound up my last two classes, we had a pivot. Suddenly we were in virtual rooms, and you all remember, like, the
Yeah.
beginning of
It was
virtual rooms was
chaos.
not pretty. Yeah,
It was
it was
No.
really, it
insane.
was
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
It was not smooth. That's like a tremendous understatement. I mean, it wasn't smooth in any world I was in.
Mhm.
And my bachelor degree was on the company's dime, and I'm grateful for that. And it was not, it becomes like, I feel like it was a little like when people run a marathon, like, it doesn't feel good, but I just have to finish.
Right.
That's kind of like everything hurts, and I have no idea why I signed up for this, but like, I'm at, the 18th mile. Am I not gonna finish?
Right.
And the degree
Right.
for me kind of became like that. I'm like, I have to finish. And oh my gosh, when the diploma came, we were sitting in the backyard, and again, it was the height of the pandemic. There was not even a
Mhm.
graduation. I didn't even really care. Just give me a
No
transcript
cap and
that said,
gown, nothing?
no caveat out. I did it. It's done, and it can't ever be taken away. And I got my bachelor's degree when I was 60. So I
Wow.
said it was like the 40-year degree, not a 4-year degree.
Amazing.
It was a 40-year degree, but whatever. I got there.
No, but I think that's big. I mean, there's so many people. I
Yeah.
can say from my own experience, I have a 2-year degree and I've always wanted to go back. I just was like, I don't know what I'm going back for, so I'm not going to go until I know. Um, so I think that is big for anybody out there who's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I'm too old or whatever. But you're never too old. Just take a shot.
Proof positive. I would sit in classes, and I was the person who sat like in the front row because I wanted to not look at anybody. I wanted to just try to absorb as much as I could.
Hmm.
The semester that I had to take algebra,
Mm.
Was really not pleasant, and it was a require and I saved the worst for last. Like, I got all the business. I was like, "That was good." I enjoyed the business stuff, but the algebra, it was a prereq, you had to do it, and,
Okay.
there'd be people in the back grumbling, "Oh my god, like, I haven't sat in algebra class in 4 years," and I would
Mhm.
just I said, "I can't even turn around and look at this person's face, because I don't really know, it would be bad if they see the expression, 4 years, buddy, I got news for you." Yeah, but I just, but I just said, like I said, it was like a marathon. I have to finish.
Yeah.
And this was just like one day you woke up and you're like, I've always wanted to complete this and this is what I wanted
I
to
wish I
do,
could
or
say
like.
that. Thank you for patting me on the back. When I accepted the trainer position, I
Oh,
needed a
requirement.
4-year degree, and I had to sign a paper with the company saying my staying in the position was contingent upon my pursuit and eventual getting of the degree.
Wow.
Oh, my hand was a little, and I wanted to be a trainer, so my hand was like kind of forced, honestly. But it was
We're gonna
again,
cut
it
that
was
out because we're gonna give you the props.
all right. Okay, good. All right,
No,
it's fine. It's good.
no, I'm
Yes,
just,
I
but
just
yeah.
had to finish.
But I mean, you could have easily been like, "No, I don't want to do this. This is too much." And I know many people who have halted their dream position or their dream career or their next move because there is something contingent, right, upon them doing that, and they're like, I won't do it. I just won't.
Sure,
I can't
I
bring
could have thrown
myself
the
to."
towel in and been like, you know
Yeah,
what, this is not worth it. The stress of this is not worth it.
right. But you did
And
it, and I
Yeah.
agree
yeah,
with Brian. I think that's
yeah,
huge, regardless of
yeah.
how you got there.
Well, and I also I'm going to say I always loved the academic setting.
Sure.
I'm
True.
really like I'm a September nerd. Like, I really loved getting new folder. I really loved. I didn't mind a new book. Yeah,
Mm.
I
Yeah.
like. I really I always liked back to school.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of a kid, you become that kind of a grown up. I feel
Yes.
it
Yes.
Okay.
doesn't really go away. For me, it didn't anyway.
I used to say if I could be a professional student, I would do it. Like, if I
See,
could just spend my whole life going to
learning,
school and
learning.
learning, yeah. Yeah. 100%.
See, I would be interested
Brian's
in.
like,
No,
are you
I
No,
mean,
no,
crazy?"
yeah, no shot. I couldn't wait for school to be over, so definitely not.
it's okay. It's all right. Different strokes. No judgment.
So there's just a few left that I wanted to ask you. Um, how do you define success now, and has that changed over time?
I do think my definition of success has changed over time because in my youth,
Hmm.
I definitely would have attached a price tag to it.
Hmm.
There's no question. I
Right.
6 figures.
Right.
Man, well, and that years ago, I wouldn't even have fathomed I mean, my father was a blue collar worker. My mother, was a civil service worker. I grew up in a solid middle class house
Mm.
where, my parents worked hard, lived modestly, paid off their house, had a comfortable retirement. And it seemed all attainable. And, so success for me, I think originally was like, like more money. I put a price tag on it. And
Okay.
I would say like a seminal moment for me probably was breast cancer too. Like, when you
Okay.
go through that, the lens, I'm not the first person to say this, the lens through which you look at life is really never the same. It really,
Yeah.
it never is. I think if you go through that experience alone, it changes. But if you go through that experience, at the time I had a husband, I had 3 children, I had an extended family, and that event really ripples throughout your whole network.
Mm.
And then after that, I genuinely feel like um, it became more about experiences rather than things.
Okay.
And for what would be a success or a successful day,
Right.
And I'll share with you, like I told you at the start of our meeting, I have a planner where I
Mm.
write down stuff like, I look to see what day it is, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things I put at the top of the planner is, it's so funny. Corporate America, like, thrusts acronyms in your face. Like, we all know that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a language.
Right.
It's it's still, that hasn't changed, I'm sure. Um, but I
We'll
have
circle
an
back, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have an acronym that is my what I can define a day to be a successful day if I can achieve the acronym. So the acronym is the word peach. Like I always strive to have a peachy day.
Mm,
Um, P. P stands for, well, I am a person of faith, so it comes from prayer, but it also comes from just like quiet time and me time and quality time.
okay.
E, exercise. Got to do physical. Have to do, like it could be the gym, or it just could be a hiking trail, or it could be an hour walk around the block and I get 10,000 steps in before 8 o'clock. That happens sometimes. P, E. A. A is art. So something creative. It
Mm,
could be a new dish. It could be a watercolor. It could be reinventing the garden. Like these things are open to interpretation.
okay.
C. C is connect. I have to connect with somebody every day. So it could be, my sister, like somebody that maybe I don't necessarily live with, like, because you're with
Gotcha.
them and so our children live in different places, so, or if
Right.
I, go to dinner with a work friend, there's the connection. And then H is I always like to do something for my house just because I love my house. And
Mm,
that could be rake the leaves. It could be food shop. It- Every day I strive to have a peachy day, to
I like
have
it.
to
I
to
love it.
to hit all
Yeah.
those marks, because even if I'm really tired, sometimes I'm like, but it's because you did everything. Or if I feel like I didn't do enough, sometimes I have to remind myself, you did you hit all of that, so
Mm,
relax.
right.
Like cut yourself some slack.
Mm,
Yeah.
Because really, like I have this conversation with myself. Like I have to justify why I want to sit on the couch and watch The Gilded Age at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I've hit all the target already. I'm there. I
Right.
earned it. So that to me,
okay.
and every day, that's if I have a peachy day, it's because I did all those things, and they're very different shapes, and the seasons, the company. This is a connection. This was like an epic connection day for me, a big C.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. There you
a big
go.
C for me right now, really. um and I feel like if I hit all those things, I recognize myself, because if I miss one of those things, sometimes I'm like, and you can't always put your finger on it,
Yeah.
and if I'm like, I didn't walk today. I didn't get my vitamin D. I didn't get my endorphins flowing. Or whatever. And I do that, and I'm like, I'm back. I'm back in alignment again. So that's big, and I really, really do that.
Going off of that, like, what advice would you give to a young person today?
What I would say is this. There's a balance between like following your gut, but then
Mhm.
being practical, and that's the tension. You know,
Okay.
I can't live in a tent in a field. I don't want to live in a tent in the field. So I had to
Mhm.
work for 21 years because I want the lights to go on.
Right,
I want to
right.
turn on the heat when December comes.
Mhm.
But what I will say, and I say this to even our kids, like even if your job isn't your dream job, even if you don't land in the exact the cookie cutter and exactly the mold, I
Right.
do feel like you can balance or round out your existence by, like for me, like having a peachy day with other
Okay.
things
Mhm.
that will then, like it's like, I'll use the ship analogy, like the keel.
Mhm.
Do you know, like a boat? So okay, if this is a boat,
Yeah.
there's a thing that comes down that you don't see under the water. It's heavy. It's like almost like a blade. It's called the keel, Brian. Pay close
Okay.
attention. Stephanie, I think you know what I'm talking about. The keel ensures that the ship stays upright. You don't see it. That's the interesting thing about it. But if it weren't there,
Mhm. It
the
would
ship would
sink.
topple over. And it's like you got to find your keel, and you got
Mhm.
to nurture that thing that's your keel. And again, the public only sees what's above the water.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
when next time you go to the beach, okay, or whatever,
Yeah.
a river,
You
or a lake, or a pond, or whatever, and you're looking at sailboats, just know under the water is this thing. that you don't even pay attention. You don't make it pretty. You know, it's whatever. You don't see it.
Right.
But that's what keeps the vessel upright. No, but I'm serious though. And find the thing that's like your keel, because everybody has something that aligns them, or some things. It may be several things. You know,
Right.
it could be people. It could be a task. You know, whatever it is. And again, that's unique to you because your DNA is unique to you. Find that thing, and I think if you can find that thing, I genuinely believe that even if you get into a corporate setting that isn't your
Yeah.
ultimate nirvana, you
Yeah.
will find a way to keep the mast upright. That was pretty deep.
That was.
That
That
was
was. I like it.
profound.
I
Oh
like
my
it. I like
gosh.
it a lot.
Oh,
So
So
good.
I love this question. And if you could talk to your younger self today, what would you say?
I would say, like to not don't wait. What I mean, what that's so let me give you like a stupid, silly, like what I mean when I say that. You know, I'm cleaning out the house and I'm going through closets and stuff. You know, we're going to be selling maybe. I got to get rid of stuff. And like, you know, sometimes like I would buy something and I'd be like, but like art supplies are a good example. You buy
Mhm.
something and it's like you paid a lot of money and you have to wait to use it because you need like the good picture to make. You know, so you don't touch the thing, you know, the really good watercolor set because you don't yet have the really good thing you want to paint.
Mhm.
And it's like not worthy. Like you need the good thing. And
Mhm.
now what I'm doing is I'm using everything I have. Like, what am I waiting for?
True.
I'm 65. Like, I'm not like, oh, what? Like, okay. And like, it's
Right.
like, like, and I feel like in some ways I used to live my life a little like that. Like, you know, the rainy day mentality. Maybe it's a little generational, like save it or, you know, the shirt, the outfit, the shoes, don't wait. It's to, you know, wait. Don't wait.
Yeah.
You know what? If you use it, and you use it up, then you get another one or whatever. I don't know if you use it
True.
and it breaks. I don't know. Yeah, whatever. Or you know, or or give it away and let somebody else, you know, reap the benefit of it. But I feel like I don't want to. I'm not going to wait anymore. Like if I wake up and I feel like you know it's like a cool day. Let's go. You know I want to go to the beach. I'd be like, oh, I can't. I got to do. No, don't wait.
Let's go.
Just go.
All
it's
right.
such simple but such powerful
Yeah.
advice because I mean, Jeannie, you told us your story. You speak about survival. We've all been in positions where I mean, you know, you put off that trip because, you know, "Oh, I'll just wait till next year," or and then next year never comes for whatever reason, and life is just too short. It really, really is. So I think that is such a powerful thing to remind
Yeah.
yourself of, and I thank you for reminding us of
Yeah,
that
and
Right.
it's
because
not
Right.
complicated,
it's
people. I
Mhm.
not.
hope you're
It's
picking up
not.
on these vibes. These are not. These are really not complicated
It's
things.
not
I
rocket
don't think
science.
they are, honestly. I think that's just it's a mindfulness and it's just
Yeah.
it's a perspective, and an awareness. That's all. That's all. You know, stop once in a while and look around because in your stillest moments, like that's kind of when you can kind of regroup a little bit. You know, you both are running and racing, and you will still be.
Mhm.
But find that moment when you can just, you know, make sure you're keeping that keel and upright. Keep it where it needs to be. All right?
I love it.
Our
Don't.
final
Don't wait.
question, as we're going to tie in this whole podcast here, one movie recommendation. Could be anything. Doesn't have to be your favorite movie, so don't feel pressure. It's just I'm an alien that came down to Earth, and you're supposed to. I want to watch a movie.
Oh gosh, that's hard because I do like a spectrum of styles.
If you want to throw three, I'll give you three. That's fine.
Okay.
There's
All
no
right. You know
limit.
what? Because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of reflects my personality. But okay.
Okay.
I I I never I always have to stop at either Godfather 1 or 2.
Okay.
I can't like I don't even know how much I like them until I'm always like I've seen this 1,000. I don't even know, and yet I stop because there's always like something about the young De Niro or the young Pacino. There's something, and this each time. So, I Godfathers are definitely in there.
Mm.
Yeah, the music, the Sound of Music. It's like it's just there's this whole spectrum of I just love them all and a happy ending and it's good songs to sing along to. So totally love that. Again, entirely different categorically. Oh, and I really adore Shawshank Redemption. So
Okay.
again, these things are
Solid
like in very
choices.
different. These are
Those are
very different.
solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
solid. Shawshank to me is like just the friendship and loyalty and again the last scene. What's
Yeah.
the last scene in Shawshank? What's he doing? When Red goes to see Andy on the beach, he's sanding his boat. He's prepping his keel. Keel.
It's
I
come full
like the time
circle.
I go full circle.
Okay, I'm just saying, like I love, these two men who, under any other life circumstances at that point in history, would have had nothing to do with each other.
Right.
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 They become brothers, really.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story here. It's been great.
Thank you. This is pretty cool. I appreciate it. This is I feel kind of special, I'm not gonna lie. Catching up with the two of you, that alone would have been a fun thing.
Yeah.
But don't make it more complicated than it has to be. I think that we do that sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
just there's no faster way to taking the pleasure away from something than making it more complicated than it needs to be. It doesn't have to be
Right.
complicated, all right? The
Yeah.
two of you, remember that. And you're in the thick of it, and you have a lot more working years ahead of you. But I
Mhm.
think that it doesn't have to feel like the ball and chain if you
Mhm.
do it the right way. You
Right.
can lighten that a little bit as long as you don't lose sight of the big picture. All right.
All
So
right.
true.
Well,
I know my takeaway is every day I'm going to try to have a peachy day too.
I'm
yeah.
I'm
telling
taking it
That's
with
the
me.
you.
episode
I'm
title right
telling
there.
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
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 All right.
All
Good.
right. Well, thank you
Awesome.
guys for the first episode of The Possibility End, and we'll see you next time. Anything is
Okay.
Bye
possible.
guys.